Chris Brintle. Chris Brintle.
Where's my sparks at?
In the fire extinguisher.
In the fire extinguisher.
Can't forget the fire extinguisher.
There's a lot of those around here at the Radio Ranch, fire extinguishers.
Well, I mean, we do have a building filled with electronic equipment.
Me and Sherwood were playing with them earlier.
This place is a fire trap.
We got in trouble by the boss. I guess we're not allowed to shoot that at each other.
Yeah, you probably...
Whatever.
You probably shouldn't be using fire extinguishers unless there's a fire. That's usually the guideline.
Oh.
Now you're gonna set something on fire.
You're like,
you can use the fire extinguisher.
You're the NFL now, DC. You're the no fun league.
That's too early. Okay, so Bob Costas.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know. You knew exactly. As soon as I said Bob Costas, you knew exactly where I was going with this. Okay, well, I'll tell everybody the story first. Bob Costas yesterday slammed ESPN's announcement that they're going to give Caitlyn / Bruce Jenner their Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the ESPYs. He's about a week late on that, by the way. We talked about this last week.
Right.
And he called it a crass exploitation play, which is a pretty good description of it, if you ask me. I mean, it doesn't give me pleasure to agree with Bob Costas on something because we probably agree on very little. But I think that's exactly what it is, a crass exploitation play. The guy hasn't been anything relevant in sports in 40 years. So there's that. Now, I mean, what he did was amazing. I mean, I guess 39 years, 1976 Summer Olympics. So, I mean, he was a sports hero. Now, not so much. He's just a reality TV show star.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, is Bob Costas at the level where he's not going to be harmed by this?
He's not. It really doesn't hurt him to say things like this. Was it during a? This is just kind of somebody asked him a question and they took a quote down, right? It wasn't during a broadcast of any sort.
It was on Dan Patrick's show.
On Dan Patrick, so it's an opinion show. I don't mind him giving his. I don't want him talking about that kind of stuff on Monday Night Football like he talked about gun control and the Redskins thing. So I don't mind him saying anything. So I don't mind his opinion. I think he's right on it. At the same time, you're blaming ESPN when clearly Caitlyn Jenner / Bruce Jenner, whatever, is exploiting himself / herself. I don't know what to call him.
Well, okay. And
where's the PC people at? I don't know what to call him. What do you call it?
Well,
I don't know.
PC would say whatever he wants to be called. However, technically, he hasn't had the surgery. He hasn't had the big surgery. He's had some minor surgeries. He's had a lot of surgery to his face, even before he decided to do this thing.
More surgery than Michael Jackson to his face.
Oof, he's rough. The main surgery, and he says he might not even get that done. So,
then what was the point of all this?
I can't keep up with the what is considered proper anymore. So
is he a hermaphrodite? What is it?
No, he's a transgender. That's the.
Well, then what's that? Well, then what's that? What's a hermaphrodite?
Well, a hermaphrodite's somebody that's born with. Somebody. Yeah, I
didn't know that. I'm learning lessons here on the DC show. I can't even.
I actually read a book about that once. It's it's an interesting, and they can do things now. They can do surgery when you're really small that can kind of fix that. So. But that's a medical condition that you're born with.
Huh.
It's you have an extra. I can't remember if it's X or Y, but you have an extra chromosome.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's a completely different thing than this.
Right.
This it is. Look, I mean, the guy wants to make his choice. He wants to do this. I really have no problem with it. I really don't. I don't even have a problem with him having a TV show. I don't have a problem with ESPN. Giving this is a political award. It's always been a political award. I really don't even mind that. I mean, it does kind of cheapen their award show because, again, he hasn't been relevant in sports for 40 years.
Yeah.
And but it's their award.
I think the point is, though, it's been a political award and it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
they give it to well, that's the thing. Now, if they wanted to be taken more seriously,
they wouldn't give it to it.
They would find somebody that's currently active in sports that has and there's a million stories of people that are active in sports that have, real brave stories. So if they wanted to be taken seriously, but it's obvious they want lowest common denominator stuff. They want ratings. So that's their choice. So
well, they want ratings, but the underlying fact is they want to prove how tolerant they are.
Yeah.
Look at how tolerant we are.
Yeah.
Oh, look at new Caitlyn Jenner. Let's put him on stage and show the world just how great we are and how tolerant we are of other people and what they do and their alternative lifestyles because we're ESPN. We're the NPR of sports.
Okay. And
sick of it.
Now, also, something that people, and I bet you don't even know this. About 6 weeks ago, Bruce Jenner, when he was still Bruce Jenner, got into a car accident and killed somebody because he was texting on the phone. Didn't even know that, did you?
No.
Nope. It's completely whitewashed.
Where'd you get that at? InfoWars?
Here, hold on.
Is this even true? Are you making a joke on me, DC?
No, I'm not making a joke.
Wouldn't that be big news?
You would think it would be.
Even bigger than the change?
May 1st, 2015, Bruce Jenner sued over a fatal car accident. He was sued about 6 weeks ago. It's
sued. Okay.
The accident happened in February.
Still, that's fairly recent.
That's
recent. Within a year. Well, no, it's not. But it's a little over a year.
February this year. So it's
this. Okay, now
2015. Yeah.
You're right. Wow.
And
didn't even know about that.
Oh, and 2 days ago, another driver involved in the fatal car crash sued him. 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Now,
how is that not news? How's that on the back page?
Here's the accident. He rammed a car head on with his Humvee or a Hummer. He had a Hummer, and that's a brutal car accident.
That's a horrible accident.
And
it caused death, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fatal 4-car accident. He was texting. So
Jeez.
The moral of that story is don't text and drive. Oh, no, he was driving an Escalade. Okay. It's an Escalade.
But it just goes to prove.
Big car.
If that, you know what? This is it's kind of a small story when you start talking about world events and political unrest in this country. But at the same time, you can look at this story and really see what's wrong with our media because their only reason that wasn't a big story and his change, quote unquote, was a bigger story is because the media, all they want is ratings. That's it. Yeah. They want ratings and they try to persuade you in the direction they want you to go. It doesn't matter if it's CNN. Fox News buried it, CNN buried it, MSNBC buried it. That's what they do when it comes to politicians and our federal government as well.
Meanwhile, 4 months ago, the guy was in an accident and killed somebody.
Right. That should be the bigger story.
You would think so.
Maybe that's why you had the change. That way maybe Caitlyn Jenner doesn't have to pay.
And skipping out on a debt. Now, look, I mean, I know people are tired of hearing about this, but I think it does speak a lot to how media works and how society works. This is just, CNN covered it. All the major networks covered this. But even when this happened, this was right around the time that he made the big announcement that he was going to have all this done.
Right.
All the change stuff done. And still, even at the time that this happened, it wasn't a big story. I mean, I knew you had no idea what this was all about.
That's what I mean. They reported on it, but it wasn't at the forefront.
Yeah.
If they did, I didn't see this mentioned on one news show. And if it was, I guarantee you it didn't get near the play. It was like 90% Jenner change, 10% accident.
Yeah.
Or getting sued for the accident.
Pretty much.
So they probably, what happened was, and they do this with a ton of stories. Every time I think, when I hear stories kind of thrown back in the back page that are kind of reported on, but they were never at the forefront, I think of was it a Black Hawk that went down? Had a lot of members of SEAL Team 6 on it.
Yeah.
Was that last year? Nobody knew about it?
Last fall, I think, like maybe September, October.
Nobody knew about it. Local newspapers reported on it. It wasn't even on the forefront of the news.
Yeah.
To get it on the news, upset parents of some of the members of SEAL Team 6 had to go on an interview, and even then it wasn't a big deal. So if they want to bury a story, they will bury it, and they'll just post it on their website and put it in the back of the news, and nobody will ever notice it.
Well, and there's an element of sensationalism. But, I mean, a really bad car crash is a sensational story. I mean, not in a good way, but like it's a story that grabs people's attention. I mean, a famous person getting in a car crash that ends up with somebody being killed tragically that's the kind of story that people would look at. However, certain people in the media, and it's not a big, huge conspiracy. I think the people in the media, some of these reporters, are afraid. They're at the point where they're afraid to report certain things on certain people. I mean CNN, even 2 days ago, had the story about the second lawsuit on this car crash, but the number one picture on the story isn't the car crash.
Right.
It's the Vanity Fair magazine cover.
Right.
And then there's a little tiny picture of this brutal car crash.
Yeah, you're right. It's all about ratings, and it's just it's kind of sad when you think about it.
It's about ratings, but it's also about being afraid to say anything bad about protected people.
And there's been intimidation before by the government, by even the entities themselves. The CNN's told people before, don't report on that, basically.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, there was a story about that last year. I can't recall the reporter's name, but remember she come out and talked to a bunch of other media members about it. How basically her boss had said, don't report on that or don't look into that further. And that's just a huge problem. And, we make fun of websites and stuff like InfoWars and stuff like that because, yes, there's crazy things on those websites and conspiracy theorists. But thank goodness we have a ton of media outlets we can go to in this country because we have to have other media outlets. Thank goodness for like Reason.com or other websites, even Breitbart's website. Thank goodness for those kind of websites. Or you wouldn't get the full story. It's unbelievable what the national media ignores in our country. It is unreal.
Meanwhile, on InfoWars, Caitlyn Jenner.
Right.
I mean, now, look, I mean, people are interested in this kind of stuff. And, it's the kind of stuff people want to see, whether they want to admit it or not. And sometimes people want to see it just to get offended and get offended. Well, I don't want to say offended because that's not really the word I want to use. Outraged. Yeah. They want to. Sometimes people want to see something that gets them all fired up.
Yeah, I think we all have that sometimes in us.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's any problem with that. So, bottom line, Bob Costas, he's safe. I think he's safe, right?
Oh, he's completely safe.
Yeah, I don't think this goes past today, and mainly because he's a good soldier for their fight. So
yeah.
I mean,
he's a hatchet man for the New World Order, DC.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Okay, what do we have going on in sports?
We have Rough Rider baseball.
Okay, and since we talked about Caitlyn Jenner or it's actually Bruce Jenner still. He didn't legally change his name.
So it's still Bruce.
The CNN story says the lawsuit refers to Jenner as Bruce Jenner, a.k.a. Caitlyn Jenner.
Interesting.
He hasn't legally changed his name. So it's all right to call him Bruce still.
It's okay.
Legally change your name, go ahead with the full surgery, then we'll call you Caitlyn, Bruce.
I'm just going to call him Jenner.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Okay, News Talk 1270 KIML.
Miss a segment of the show? Check out Don Carpenter Radio on YouTube for all the best clips. Don Carpenter on News Talk 1270, KIML. KIML.
Chris Brintle. Chris Brintle.
You have a better entrance than I do.
I love that entrance. Brings back some childhood memories.
Oh, I was an adult when all that happened. So it's not even childhood memories for me. This is like mid-20s memories for me. Did have some good times though. It's actually kind of funny. Where I lived in Pennsylvania was about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes from the state line from Maryland, and I had half brothers that lived, my mom's first kids from her first husband. They lived maybe 45 minutes away in Maryland, and my one half brother had a big screen TV, one of those. And this was back in the 90s, so this was a monstrous, big, huge box of a TV. And he was the only person we knew that had a big screen TV. And what we would do is we'd go down on Monday nights. We'd drive down there. Usually I didn't have to work until late on Tuesday, so I could stay out until late. We'd drive down there and we'd watch, both shows, Raw and Nitro.
Oh yeah, you keep flipping,
flip back and forth. It was like a party every week.
Oh yeah, when I was a little kid, so if I wasn't at home, I was at my grandma and grandpa's place watching. They used to flip back and forth, so I'd actually go in. They'd watch it separate, though. My grandma and grandpa, so they could both control the remote during wrestling, and neither of them liked anybody. They all hated every wrestler.
Yeah, see,
it was always I hate that Ric Flair.
But
he's so pompous.
But see, that's obviously what his job was.
Exactly.
So he was doing his job. So that it's funny. I grew up in a family. My mom and dad never really liked wrestling. We watched it all the time, and they would take us to matches when we were kids and that kind of stuff. My dad even took us on Christmas Day one time.
Oh, nice.
Oh boy, he was not happy about it, but we pestered him and managed to get him to take us all the way to D.C., which was about an hour and a half, maybe 2-hour drive from where we lived, all the way to Washington, D.C. to see wrestling on Christmas Day.
Really? They don't do shows on Christmas Day anymore, do they?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess nowadays the guys like to have Christmas with their families.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
They usually give them like a week or two. I think they turn that nowadays. I think they're pretty sure they tape Raw.
Yeah, it's taped for like 2 weeks before that.
Right, and so they get a week or two to just kind of hang out during the holidays. That's pretty cool. I'm glad they do that. I don't really think there should be a wrestling event on Christmas Day.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I think they were running 2 shows on Christmas that year.
Really?
Yeah. Well, this is when they would run 2 or 3 shows a day. I mean, this was back at the peak when they had a bunch of shows. I'm trying to find the exact one that I went to. There's somebody keeps track of every show they ever did.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, no. Let's see.
Who has that nice job? It does not sound fun.
Somebody that has absolutely nothing better to do. It was Landover, Maryland, Capitol Center, December 25th, 1986.
Wow.
So you weren't even born.
Oh, I was 2 months old.
2 months old. Okay. Yep. Okay. And this was Hulk Hogan beat Kamala.
Oh. It was a good main event.
Yeah. Yeah. The undercard, not so good. The match right before the main event, Hercules defeated Coco Beware.
Oh yeah, Coco Beware. Is Coco Beware? Isn't he?
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Scorpio too?
No,
they're not the same guy.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Scorpio?
No, I'm positive. There's some stories about Scorpio.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, he's.
For some reason I was thinking they're the same guy.
Yeah, him and Virgil got their jobs kind of the same way.
Really?
Yeah, Yeah, it's had nothing to do with wrestling ability. Pat Patterson was the one responsible for hiring him. So you can take what you will from that.
Yep.
Okay.
I think I've got it.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to.
Should we dive into that or just
no? We'll just leave that hanging out there. People can Google it. Okay. So this is the funny thing is Marty Jannetty also in that group.
Interesting.
They didn't. Well,
Marty Jannetty.
I'll tell you off the air. Okay, so last hour we talked a little bit about Bob Costas, and I kind of defended Bob Costas. I think he was kind of right. This is a benchmark day. This is a day that will probably never happen again. So I should probably play the lottery today because I also agree with Keith Olbermann on something.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
What a day.
Tell me about it.
What with Obama do you agree with today? That's what I want to know. There's got to be something.
He hasn't done anything yet.
It's a weird day. Yeah. Is he woken up? I don't know.
Let's see. It's hard to say. Although I did see they were going after him for smoking.
Oh.
That's the thing.
Because of all the things.
Yeah. and of course he has the White House press secretary go out there and say that he's not smoking.
So for all the executive actions that President Obama has taken, the illegal bombings overseas he's continued, the Defense Authorization Act that he signed where he can assassinate Americans, we're worried about it, whether he's smoking. Interesting.
The funny thing is everyone knows he smokes, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty common knowledge. They're lying about it.
Yeah, it's a distraction. All it is a distraction.
Why would you lie about it? Just say, hey, look, he smokes. He knows it's a bad habit. He can't quit.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say. But no, they lie about it. There's a picture of him standing outside the Oval Office with a pack of cigarettes in his hand. It's not a pack of cigarettes. It just looks like a pack of cigarettes.
It looks like one. It's the candy cigarette.
It's a drone control.
Exactly. Might be.
It's a wiretap. It's almost to the point of parody with that, but
it is. Yeah, it's something they want to talk about. They want him to be lying about smoking. It's something they'll get questions over that. They won't get questions over real things.
You might have a point there. You might have a point because that probably did take up 20 minutes of the press briefing yesterday.
I think Rahm Emanuel would be proud of this.
It could be. It could be.
It is Obama's henchman.
It is a filthy habit, though. Really filthy habit. Okay, so Keith Olbermann. Let's see. He was. I guess it was on. I guess it was on his show yesterday. Yeah, it was on his TV show. I didn't even know he still had a show. What is it on? He's on ESPN now.
Yeah,
right?
He's on ESPN.
Okay, he does like 2:30 p.m. or something, right?
Yeah, nobody watches it.
Yeah, of course.
Kind of like when he was at MSNBC.
Yeah, except he sometimes talks about sports now.
Exactly.
He's supposed to talk about it all the time, but usually he's talking about the Koch brothers or Mitt Romney or something. But no, he actually talked about Hope Solo. He wants Hope Solo to be suspended. I thought she'd already been suspended, but I guess not. U.S. Soccer hasn't suspended. She's not playing.
I don't think she's on that team, her team anymore. They kicked her off.
I don't think she's on the World Cup team.
Right.
But she is still cleared to play. And Keith Olbermann, and look, I mean, I think maybe some of these leagues have gotten out of hand with some of the suspensions for everything.
Right.
But the Hope Solo story is pretty bad. I mean, it's almost Ray Rice bad.
It's bad, and there's no other. She claims it was self-defense. There's nothing that proves. I've seen this. I've read about it in detail. Saw a video about it in detail. Nothing that would prove her case. I've seen pictures of like scratches and stuff, and I Google Hope Solo a lot. Anyway, so yeah, her story is completely bogus. It's pretty clear she got completely drunk and got in a rage.
Yeah, and
starting hitting people.
Beat up her sister and her sister's kid.
Right.
Her sister's 17-year-old son.
Yeah. So yeah, Olbermann's right.
It's pretty bad.
Olbermann's right. I'll give him credit for that. because the NFL gets a lot of flack. So if you're going to get on the NFL for that, you have to get on them too. So
you have to be consistent. And the question is, I mean, she's not in the prime of her career anymore. So I mean, what does the U.S. Soccer Association have any why would they defend her? I mean, that's the thing. Well, they're not really defending her, but their inaction is kind of a de facto defense.
I think they just didn't think it through. I think they thought, well, she's not on that team anymore. We don't have to worry about it. I think it was almost ignorance on their part rather than just they don't care. I think it was. So I think I can give them a pass on this in the sense that if she was playing still, and they didn't do it, I think I'd be more outraged by it. But since she's not even playing right now, it's not or if another team picked her up. But that's the thing; they should do it just for that simple fact.
Well, and now. I guess, I mean, this is, and soccer's weird because every country has different things. This is just the Amateur Soccer Association. Right. This wouldn't include any professional, I don't know, I'm sure there's women's professional soccer in this country, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, maybe.
But I imagine, I mean, no professional team's going to pick her up. Not in this country anyway. Maybe somewhere else. I mean, she could probably go play soccer somewhere else, but she probably made more money as an amateur with endorsements and stuff here. She can't play again in this country. I mean, at least not until she goes through the legal process and serves whatever punishment she gets.
I have an idea. I would say this. I would reinstate. Let's say soccer does suspend her from that league. I'd reinstate Hope Solo. And then if I was the NFL, I'd reinstate Ray Rice, but only under one condition. They got in a boxing ring and fought it out. And Ray Rice is a man, of course, who's 227 pounds, 230, something like that.
He's short, but he's a big dude.
He's a big dude. How about this? He ties an arm around his back, and him and Hope Solo box, and they can't kick or nothing. It's just a boxing match. And if they do that, then I'll reinstate both. What do you think?
Yeah, well,
because I think Hope Solo's going to get a couple punches in if you put his arm behind his back. Well,
she's obviously pretty tough.
She's tough.
A 17-year-old boy is a grown man, basically.
Yeah, I think he was 6'8" or something like that.
6'8"?
Yeah.
She beat up a giant?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mess with her.
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't. She beat him up, but he didn't really fight back a lot. I mean, the story says he wrestled her down.
If you're in a situation
and then kind of
that,
calmed down, then she got up and did it again.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, I knew it was a domestic violence situation. I didn't know it was that crazy, but this is the rare day that I agree with Bob Costas and Keith Olbermann.
That is odd. Who are you going to agree with in the next hour? That's my question.
Now I have to find
another liberal to agree with.
I'll find some other crazy liberal to agree with for the next hour.
Where's Bob Beckel at? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
He's in rehab.
Yeah. Yeah, Beckel not having the best of the best. I actually, Beckel, for a liberal, I agree with more than most. I mean, certainly he's on the 5. He's been replaced by Juan Williams.
You do agree with Beckel a lot.
Yeah, Beckel is
because you're both pro-war. Okay, you're both part of the war machine.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so of course you agree with Beckel a lot. He's part of the war machine. He's an establishment Democrat. You're an establishment Republican. So, yeah, you guys agree on probably 70% of the issues.
It's the New World Order.
You're really no different than all the politicians in Washington. Of course I kid, DC.
We're all part of the New World Order.
You're the right arm of the Bilderberg.
I most certainly am. I'm just waiting for that Bilderberg money. I'm still waiting for it. I mean, I support all the right people. I'm not quite sure why I still drive a car with 170,000 miles on it and live in an apartment where I can't even have a dog.
Okay, it's a big front, people. It's a front.
This
oh, that's good.
This Bilderberg stuff doesn't pay off, I don't think. Okay, what do we have going on in sports?
I don't know if I can. After that, hold on a minute. I'll get to it eventually. We have high school rodeo. We have NHL hockey, Major League Baseball.
Okay, We'll be right back. News Talk 1270 KIML.
Twitter isn't just for arguing anymore. Follow Basin Radio Network at Radio Basin. Don Carpenter on News Talk 1270 KIML. 1270 KIML. 1270 KIML. 1270 KIML. KIML. KIML.